And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking F1 2024. We are talking the F1 2024 calendar. Interestingly, an article that you can see here, the best and worst tracks of Formula 1 2024. But also, we'll be looking at contracts expiring. Yes, that is Spa. Silverstone is another one. And we'll be looking at 24 races in 2024. A bit more than 24 if you include those sprint races or not. But let's get into it. So, Planet F1 is pretty much ranked the best and worst F1 tracks on the 2024 calendar. And I wanted to get into it and see what you guys think. And hey, see what we think. So, and they're talking about, obviously, a record number of races this season. They've ranked every venue set to host an F1 24 race, with 24 venues across 21 countries, 5 continents. F1 is now a truly global sport. So it says the best. We've got here Suzuka International Racing Course. And interestingly, it's really early. This is the earliest I can remember the Japanese Grand Prix. I think we had the Pacific Grand Prix in Aida, I'm not too sure how to pronounce that, in 95 or 94. It was quite early in the year. But this is Suzuka, the earliest we've had Suzuka as far as I can remember. And it's been described here, as they said, by Sebastian Vettel as designed by the gods. And it is a lot of people's favourites. It's a lot of the drivers' favourites. And as we know, it says it may have moved to the April earlier slot, but it's unlikely to take anything away. So the S's, we've got the S's, we've got the spoon curve, we've got 130R, which used to be a lot more of a challenge, kind of like Eau Rouge and Spa. But they are some of the most iconic sections of that Formula 1 track, including that last chicane, used to be called the Triangle, the infamous Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost 89 chicane, and Suzuka's been home to some of F1's most memorable moments, it says, with the Japanese crowd always embracing it. Now, interestingly, somewhat controversially, they've got Monaco in the best section. I think Monaco is an absolutely stunning circuit. It's all about qualifying, let's be honest, and maybe that air of unpredictability on the Sunday, albeit with their cars now, let's just say, going a bit easier, looking after their tyres. Is it really a race, or just last to the end? And because they're going slower, you can make an argument it's harder to make a mistake. Yes, it has become more boring, I think, compared to previous, more recently than, say, back in the 90s or the early 90s when something would happen. So Monaco has become, as they said, the Marmite of the F1 world. You'd either love it or you hate it. They said, yet it's unlikely to produce a thrilling race, given obviously the size of the circuit. But they describe it as the jewel in the F1 crown. Yes, it's something that Las Vegas would wish it was, I think, but it could maybe one day be. Let's be fair, Las Vegas was ultimately, on the race day, a very successful race. So as always, qualifying, it says, tends to be the most exciting session of the year. And if you remember, Max Verstappen's Sector 3 last year was absolutely amazing. And they conclude by saying, love it or loathe it, Monaco is still one of the F1 events of the year. Next up, we have Silverstone, one of my favourite tracks, one of the favourite races of the year as well. And one of the original and still one of the best, it says, absolutely. Silverstone is a masterful track with some of the best sections on the calendar. The speed of the cars flying through, we've got maggots. Beckett's is one of the best places to watch F1, and the whole circuit has corners designed to test a driver's talent. Absolutely it does. And it's I've been to Monaco, I think, nearly 10 times now to watch the F1. I can't really afford to go abroad, albeit it's now got so expensive I can't even afford Monaco when you look at the ticket prices. So it's also, it says, the history of the place with no end of iconic drives taking place in rural Northamptonshire. Next up, we've got Spa, absolutely the best ever, it says, question mark though. It has a legendary reputation. It doesn't always produce the most exciting races though, but what an absolutely stunning track. And it says, first used in 1950, continues to produce edge of the seat thrills. Eau Rouge is one of the most iconic causes in Formula 1, and the unique weather behaviour of this small section of Belgium countryside ensures drivers can never be too comfortable. Yes, the weather, I don't know, but it's got to be up there in the top 5 list of most rain during an F1 weekend, if not during the race. But of course, safety is always a concern. Following the unfortunate death in 2023, there are further calls to make it safer, but even with the recent tragedies that have occurred, Spa still warrants a spot on the calendar. We've next up got Monza. So F1 now with Hockenheim gone, as in like completely gone, the old Hockenheim from 2001 previously. It is, the one where the cars are on the throttle for so long, they go so fast. And if F1 cars is going fast is your thing, then look no further, as they describe Monza as the temple of speed. Now, what makes the track One of the best is its combination of circuit design and atmosphere, and at Monza you have both in abundance, it says. The Autodromo Nazionale Monza, I've probably got that wrong, I probably butchered it, I'm so sorry, is up there with Austria for simplicity, but still produces exciting races. A win is on any Ferrari driver's bucket list. Yes, remember Charles Leclerc in 2019. Next up, we've got the Autodromo Jose Carlos place, well, basically Brazil, Sao Paulo. An excellent venue, and one which many hope would return to its season finale hosting duty. Absolutely. I think most F1 fans would rather have that than Abu Dhabi. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, I got that wrong, but it's better known as Interlagos. Features the Senna S and plenty of bank corners before a technical middle section and a blast down to the end. And what's good about that circuit, kind of like a Brazil version of Brands Hatch in a ways, where you sit, you can see so much of the circuit. It's absolutely brilliant. And they also talk about the carnival vibe. Now, great. It says here we've got Baku. As we know, it's a street circuit. But of all the tracks, it's one of the best one of the best of those street circuits, I think. The Baku City is one of two halves, with the first being long straights, and then you got this twisty section. The castle section is also great from a view on the F1 track, and the corner approaching it has led to memorable incidents, just as Charles Leclerc. Next up, we have got Imola, one of the second of the two Italian circuits in 2024. The first one we'll go to, at least, and it's a circuit steeped in history. Regrettably, you're always going to think of Ayrton Senna when you go there from 1994. 19 corners, 4.9 kilometres, with drivers never really able to switch off. It's often praised for the challenge. Next up, they said the Circuits Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. So, one wall, Champions Wall, that got made famous, I think, in 1999 when a number of champions hit it. We had the equivalent of the WEC champion, was Ricardo Zonta, sports car champion. We had Michael Schumacher, obviously. That was the big one. Damon Hill as well. And I think Jacques Villeneuve, all the same year. And the Wall of Champions has claimed the races of many legendary figures, but the Canadian circuit is most notable for another thing, the weather. 2011, as we know, remains one of my best ever races ever. I mean, I know you could take your 2019 Verstappen wins. I would always raise you 2011 Jenson Button going to the back, I think maybe twice, but and having maybe a penalty, but still winning on the last lap. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And it was a 4-hour race because of the stoppage, but it was chaos and amazing racing as well, and a challenge with a good portion to overtake on the back straight. More often than not, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve delivers. Next up, we've got the Red Bull Ring, and they say it's a really simple layout, and it's good. It does produce good racing. You've got that dash into turn one, following that long straight. Then you've got a twisty middle section, and work needs to be done there in the final corner for track limits, because hey, track limits. But I've always said, drivers, that stay within the white lines. So Circuit Zandvoort. I thought this is, when we first looked at it, we all thought it's not going to be good. It's going to be difficult. It's twisty. It's kind of like narrow. Is it going to be good for racing? I think it is. The house that Verstappen built, they say, the Dutchman has done more for his country's love of racing than any other racer in the history, and it's thanks to him that Zandvoort is now a permanent venue on the calendar. It's one of the more unique circuits with the beach, and I think that's brilliant when you see the camera shots from the beach to the circuit. Absolutely fantastic. The misty sea breeze can nullify even the most high-tech weather systems, as we saw in 2023, and the bank corners can only really be appreciated in person. Next up, Circuit of the Americas. Yes, COTA. Austin is a Frankenstein's monster of a circuit, with designer Helmut taking some of the best sections of the other tracks in the world and putting them together. We've got like Suzuka and Silverstone elements, and it's a great circuit when you add that enthusiastic and dedicated US crowd. Another one here, which I didn't think initially it would turn up on their greats, but we've got Marina Bay in Singapore, and I think it has produced really, really interesting racing. And I think especially, we had one of the best races last year, possibly because it was the only Grand Prix full race where there was no Red Bull victory. It was Carlos Sainz was our saviour. And after Red Bull's winning one was ended there in 2023, the track has grown a reputation for being the thorn in a dominant team's side. If you remember, Mercedes, after 2014, I think they struggled there quite a lot to get the temperature in their tyres, as did Red Bull. And it's the one race circled by all F1 personal trainers, as the humidity provides a challenge unlike any other. So here we got good but could be better. Bahrain, I would probably put Bahrain. It has produced produce really good races. It can do. But anyway, the new home of the season opener, but one that produces great races once in a while rather than consistently. It's the most notably 2014 in the desert. The duel between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg remains one of the best recent races, albeit we're looking at 10 years old, aren't we? But that was an amazing track. We've got Albert Park, the typical season opener for so long. I still wish it was. I still have memories of getting up in the morning, and it was later dropped down. It was later dropped down to the third, and it showed the willingness of the organisation to change for the better. While the circuit is good, it said, it's more the love of the Aussie fans that makes it enjoyable. Hungary, I think Hungary, since we've added DRS and they reprofiled obviously that first corner. It used to be more of like a sweeping turn. Now it's a really pretty much almost a hairpin. That's really helped with the racing. It used to be one of those tracks where you just can't overtake, but you can now. And it's been here since 1986, and it resembles, they describe it as a karting circuit. They used to say Monaco without the barriers, but I think now that's a bit unfair, and it's produced some good races. We had that surprise win from Daniel Ricciardo in 2014, Esteban Ocon, after, well, he wasn't quite the torpedo of Kvyat, but he definitely was a torpedo that day. Valtteri Bottas made for a very interesting race in 2021. We've got now, here's the worst, the Jeddah circuit in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, setting aside the very real issues with a country like Saudi Arabia hosting a race, it says. Verstappen described it as the worst on the calendar for safety after Spa, but was put under the spotlight, and Mick Schumacher's crash in 22 was memorable for its brutality. It's quick, but unlike Monza, has Monaco-like walls, 27 corners, meaning an accident is often waiting to happen. Next up, really disappointing this one of the most disappointing races I think we've got Miami. Once you've gotten over the view of the stadium in the background, there is really not a lot Miami has to offer. After being dangerous, it says, in its first year, the Miami International Autodrome improved for 2023, but tight corners, straights, it's meh. I mean, it's like any other circuit from Formula E, I think, because Formula E races on a lot of street tracks, and it's nah. Circuit de Catalunya. As we know, Barcelona, not a bad track. They used to go testing there a lot. Truth be told, though, it's had its time, and having been previously used as a test one venue has become too predictable. A move to Madrid in 2026 is heavily rumoured and would be a welcome change. Well, they say a welcome change, but if it's rumours of another street track, I think a lot of people, including us, would rather have Barcelona there. We've got the Autodromo Mexico. I think it's a bit unfair. I think this would be good. I'm surprised. It says an unbalanced mix of some of the best fans in the world, but one of the worst circuits. Why? It was brought back in 2015, largely due to Sergio Perez's popularity. But while the stadium section is pleasing, it does not produce the best corners for racing. It's Monza-esque layout. It's Monza-esque in its layout, but nowhere near as exciting. I think it's produced okay races. That's a bit mean. We've got the Lusail International Circuit in Qatar. Once again, I think this is a good circuit. But there we go. It says it could grow in its popularity with its December slot. For now, it's one of the worst tracks given its ability to push beyond acceptable limits of the drivers through heat exhaustion. That's not really the track's fault. I think that's a fault of, that's more so the weather than anything else. So, okay, fair enough. I disagree with that. Yas Marina, I completely agree with. Oh dear. Abu Dhabi's benefited from being the host of the season finale, but aside from the end of school, has little going for it. Absolutely. Kind of like, it looks nice. The racing, yeah, meh, really. I mean, the only couple of interesting moments were Kimi's win, the controversial end of 2021, which is not a good moment in Formula One, I don't think. But there we go. The jury's still out. We've got Shanghai's by no means a stranger, but after 4 years away, the jury is out on what kind of racing it may produce in the modern era. Yet with these new cars, I think it's a good track. It has that really long back straight, essentially, for overtaking and DRS. So, and it's got that really interesting, really sweeping first corner going into that second corner, if you remember. And it says, we've yet to see how the circuit will perform with the new regulation of cars, but from the design, it looks likely to be a good race. Then we've got the Las Vegas Strip circuit. The jury's still out. We've only had one race there, but it was a very good race. And they've described it as a weekend of highs and lows. Yes, it was. But there we go. That's pretty much the tracks. But also, what's interesting, I think here it says which F1 tracks and contracts are expiring in the near future, and this is hello. I'll just get rid of you there. It says every year. This is from sportskedia.com. F1 circuits roams around and races on the fastest tracks, and the ones expiring. Here's the list of tracks here. We've got for 2024 this year expiring. We've got Suzuka. So the list of tracks expiring for this year. Yeah, we've got Suzuka is expiring this year. Silverstone is expiring this year. You've got to think these are two classic tracks. Now, I know the F1 or the FIA have come out and saying just because it's a classic track, we're not necessarily going to save it, which kind of sucks because I think those two are two of the best circuits, and I think they will work something out. You with most of the teams based in and around Silverstone, the Silicon Valley of Formula One. I'm not saying that's the reason it deserves, but you need a race in Great Britain, just like I think you need a race in France and you need a race in Germany. And there are two countries we don't, and it's ridiculous. Because Europe is still, I'm not saying it's the home of Formula One, but its fan base is still, it is worldwide, but it still has the strongest fan base you can argue in Europe. And you've got, Renault, the car manufacturer in Europe as well. For example, for Alpine, Peugeot, another massive car manufacturer. I'm probably missing one now as well. I mean, goodness me, Germany, Mercedes, Audi, BMW, and with Audi visiting as well. But anyway, I digress. Suzuka, Silverstone is gone in 24. Spa is gone in 25. Monza's gone in 25. Monaco's potentially gone in 25. Shanghai in 25. Zandvoort in 25. Las Vegas, we know that's going to be renewed. Imola in 25 and Mexico in 25. All these tracks within the next 2 years. So Spa has to be saved, surely. Monza, Monaco, I think Monaco will. That's a guarantee. I just think that's like political in terms of what kind of contract they do. Shanghai, I think China will renew because it's China. Zandvoort, that may well depend on how good Verstappen is and if he's still in the sport. Las Vegas, well, yeah, that's promoted by Formula One itself. It's gonna carry on. Imola in 2025, absolutely. I think that should, but I don't know if that one for me on that list is the least likely one to renew because they already have a race in Italy. But hey, they've got 3 races in the USA, so you never know. And in Mexico City, that might depend whether Perez is still in the sport. But I think it's a really, really solid track. So that's going to be really interesting over the next couple of years. Obviously, I think round the British Grand Prix, we'll get a renewal somehow or another. There may be threats that Silverstone may be gone. We shall see. But here we go. I'm going to make it a bit. There we go. This is the F1 schedule for this year. So the F1 calendar, we've got February testing on the 21st to 23rd of February. And then pretty much a week later, we've got on the 29th of February, the earliest I can remember, we have the Bahrain Grand Prix. Next up, the 7th to 9th of March, we've got Saudi Arabia, just a week in between that. Then we've got Australia being the third race on the 22nd to 24th of March. 5th to the 7th, we've got April, which is Japan, not April, sorry. We've got China on the 19th to the 21st of April. We've got 3rd and 5th of May is the Miami Grand Prix, the United States. 17th to the 19th, we have the Imola Grand Prix. Imola, it's called something different. Yes, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Monaco from the 24th to the 26th. We've got Canada, 7th to 9th of June. 21st to 23rd of June is Spain. Austria, from the 28th to the 30th of June, 5th to the 7th of July, we've got Silverstone, yeah, my favourite. 19th to the 21st, we've got Hungary. 26th to the 28th, we've got Belgium. 23rd to the 25th, we've got the Netherlands, that's of August. Then we've got Italy on the 30th to the 1st of August to September, beginning of September. 13th to the 15th of September, we've got Azerbaijan. 20th to the 22nd of September, we've got Singapore. 18th to the 20th, we've got the United States in October. 25th to the 27th, we have Mexico. 1st to the 3rd of November, we've got Brazil. 21st to the 23rd of November, we've got the United States Grand Prix. Deep breath. 29th to the 1st of December, Qatar. 6th to the 8th of December, Abu Dhabi. So let me all scroll through them again. So I'm going to be nice and quick though. We've got testing in February. And then we've got the first race on the 2nd of March. Next up, we've got Saudi Arabia. Then it's Australia. Then it's Japan. Then it is China. It's going to be, China's back. We've got the United States, the Miami Grand Prix. Let's hope that's a bit better. We've got the San Marino, well, not the San Marino Grand Prix, sorry, Imola. And then we got Monaco, then it's Canada off to America, and then it's back to Europe for Spain for round number 10. We have then Austria and Great Britain. That's going to be exciting. I love it when they're so close to each other as well. Then we've got Hungary. Then it appears we have Belgium, and then it's the summer break back in the Netherlands, and then for Italy, which is going to be, and then Azerbaijan, which is back, which then I believe going to be the last race in Europe is. And then it's Singapore, United States, Mexico, Brazil, United States, that's Las Vegas. And we have Qatar being the penultimate round and Abu Dhabi finishing us off again. I just wish it was Brazil. I really wish it was Brazil. So 24 races in 2024. That's our 24 races. That's absolutely crazy, isn't it? Now, interestingly, if you want to know the sprint races, we've got China. The Chinese Grand Prix is a sprint. Miami's a sprint. That's interesting. Austria, thank goodness, that's a sprint. United States is a sprint. Brazil is a sprint. And Qatar, once again, a sprint race. So in terms of returning sprint races, we've got Qatar, Brazil, and the United States. That's very... And then we've got, obviously, China in April. I don't know why they've picked Miami. Is that to spice it up a bit? I don't really know. I don't get it. I mean, for me, Austria I get. Silverstone I think would also work as a sprint, but that's too close to Austria, so I kind of understand that one. So that's pretty much it. If you've made it to the end and you've put up with the rambling, thank you very much. Subscribe. That definitely would mean quite a lot. 24 races in 2024. Thank you very much. We will speak to you next time on the Hot Lap.